Uh, Thank you very much, dignitaries, for being here in the evening, taking out all of us to have this
I have the
discussion.
functionality.
This discussion, which will lead the industry, will give some new perspective to the industry. I'll be talking about, can unparalleled CX in BFSI be the game changer to build the digital trust of the customers? Where exactly I come from, and what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to a strategy. Has anybody asked you a strategy of a customer experience? We work around customer experience. We create different modules. We bring in a lot of technology, adopt that technology, and present it to our customers. But have we really worked upon the strategy for the customer experience? No one from all of us from the industry of BFSI exempted from the strategic focus, the customer experience, which matters a lot today. And it has taken one of the prominent place across the world players within the industry of BFSI as well as the other industries. It's a combined effort of the government of India as well and the Reserve Bank to fuel the India's growth and financial sector, making it attractive to the market for investors, for local investors, as well as the foreign organizations. But with the growth, it comes challenges and increasing competition, stringent regulations, and consistently evolving technology advancement. The sector is working around the clock to sell their products and services, but more important, keeping the customer happy is really at the top of the mind. Precisely why, according to the Deloitte study, 62% of the companies view customer experience delivered by contact centers as competitive differentiator. Is that really the competitive differentiator? I mean, we can think of it. There is a third party engagement or a primary engagement created by us to ensure that we deliver a customer experience. But that is what is going to give us numbers. That is which is going to give us views from our own customers. Customer expectations have risen so much over the past decade and across all businesses, including banks. They expect us to interactions to be introduced, seamless, and very, very straightforward. Don't you think so? Banks have been investing to meet these expectations, but have struggled to keep pace. And the customer self-service banking industry is a significant component of this customer experience. With that, I would like to ask a few questions and ask dignitaries to come back and give the view. I would like to invite Ms. Shivangi. Shivangi, I mean, you can talk about the digital innovation and the financial journey, how Tata AIG General Insurance is trying to redefine the customer journey. And where do you see from 3 to 5 years from now, how the entire digital adoption will evolve? Over to you, Shivangi.
Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Milind, if you could just...
Yes, Shivangi, very much.
So if I have to talk about the entire customer experience, I will just want to go back to basics where, we would want to just see where all, my customers would come to the organization. So what we did was we defined the entire customer journey, right from the onboarding to servicing to post-servicing and then claims. So if I have to just sum it up, these are the four major legs, where the customer would come to any organization or an insurance. So what we did was, I'll start slowly one by one. So when it came to onboarding, I would like to talk about, the virtual offices that we're coming up with. We have around 333 virtual offices which are already live, where the customer can, buy product online. These products are absolutely digital with risk and fraud controls built in. We have used products which are based on telematics. So that's one good thing. If I have to talk about that, the policy offers kilometer-based package that enables savings on premium compared to any other conventional policies. We also bought, in fact, an auto-save, a GPS-enabled device, which you can link to any mobile. And that records all information, tracks the distance traveled, and generates reports. It generates reports about the vehicle, the distance traveled, and in a way, it also ensures, the safety of the policyholder. It helps us, it helps the policyholder to save on premiums by selecting the kilometers driven. It also helps promote safety while driving and also works as an anti-theft device. So that's one that I would want to talk about the product which we went live, immediately post the lockdown. We then ensure that we work on our architect model. So IT is working on automated systems using Architect 2.02 version. That's again a part of onboarding journey where we said, we'll have automated products for the customers. The second leg was servicing. We strengthened our, servicing by using chatbots, including machine learning, various tools, AIs, RPAs, where we say that we will service these customers through digital platforms using video stream as one of the major, technology for our claims, where we could do live, investigation of the vehicle with the least bandwidth that is available. So that's the technology, that we adapted to. The third leg, being your claims, where we automated a lot of claims processes, and we're still automating. Another leg was customer engagement. So, what do we do to keep these customers engaged? We saw a drastic change in terms of adapting to technology, between age group 45 to 60, which used to be a challenge for most of these sectors, because digital adaptation between that age, was something which we saw was very low as compared to the new age customers, or the millennials. So that's the kind of shift that we're seeing, and more than insurance being a push, it's more of a pull now in terms of servicing. So we're seeing a lot of old age, customers adapting to use of chatbots, calling using our AIs, working on different services. So that's the kind of shift, or the paradigm shift that we have seen in this period. If I have to talk about, how it's going to be in another 3 to 5 years, I think it's all a mind game. In fact, none of us would have thought that we would be working from home, because that was just in the mind. So the limits and challenges are only mental. For example, the earlier hesitance used to be about working from home, but now we all are looking at different ways of adapting to this change as well. And so it is the same with the customers. We are seeing a paradigm shift, not only in terms of people availing these services, buying products online, but customers, insisting that they go more on digital rather than, visiting the local branches or asking the agents to come home. So that's the kind of shift that I'm seeing. Secondly, if I have to talk about for being on the customer, being on the industry end, we are, with the regulatory being in place and sandbox into picture, and allowing permitting telematics, as one of the solutions to be used. We are seeing that regulators are also becoming, quite, they are welcoming these kind of digital platforms, which, any sector, or, the insurance sector, to be more specific, can be used or are used to make their services or products more intuitive. So I think in 3 to 5 years, I'm going to see more of intuitive services being offered or being availed, rather than services which are just traditional.
That's a real deeper view, Shivangi. I mean, thank you so much for that. It gave us a complete view, starting from a company using from a telemetrics to going to the level of an automation from for an individual, and providing him the technology for a real-time analysis. I mean, nowadays, most of the brands, while they struggle to provide this experience to an end user, I'm really happy to hear the collaboration of multiple services that you guys brought on a single platform. Okay, that's really commendable. Thank you so much for that view. I just have one question. Being a consumer, okay, we totally depends on the experience management, how we look at it. And the first thing when you get on an InsurTech platform, and when you really want to see something, the first differentiator that you want to see is the claim settlement ratio. Okay, can you give us a two-liner? How would that operate? Because a lot of people need to understand how the differentiator, okay, should be looked at from a point of view of a layman. Okay, is there anything that you will be able to tell us, whether it's enhanced after the entire collaboration work you did for Tata AIG and got the services together?
So if I have to honestly talk about claims, okay, there's one very good learning that I probably came across while one of my visits to Singapore for one of the events, where I came across a service specifically for claims, where even before the customer asked for the money, the money was given to him, and that's the kind of expectation not only me or any consumer would have. That how can we become more intuitive? And that's why I was, emphasizing more on the word intuitive.
Right, right.
So there, I think a lot of work is still being done. We at Tata, in fact, are looking at a lot of these innovative claim, differentiating services. Where
Right.
even before the customer comes to us, we would want to go back to the customer saying, "This is your money, and we got to know that you are in need for it, or this is going to be used for it." And that's the complete idea why we launched our the telematic based motor product, where
Yes.
in this pandemic, why would I want to spend even a penny more or a penny less, and that's the whole idea of designing something for your customer. It's more of a customization. It's more of being true loyal to the customer, so that they feel that every penny that they pay and everything that they get back is just not compromised. So that's not only during the claim, Milan, but it's also during the onboarding process. Is something that I feel. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. Very, very valid and very valuable input. Thank you so much, Shivangi.
Thank you.
Thank you. That gives us an opportunity to move forward to Jitendra ji, one of the senior person from our industry. And Jitendra ji, 10 years back, buying an insurance was primarily through agents. Okay, we understand that, and our dependency on the agents and his promises were giving us a lot of logic about how we supposed to buy and why we supposed to buy. But do you think the insurance market and consumer is moving towards being self-sufficient to purchase it without any help from anyone? And how much a usage of tech helping you to grow or a degrow? Where you see going in that future?
Sure. So thank you, Milind, and thank you, CXM, for giving this opportunity to be a part of this panel. Very appropriate question. I think always asked in a forum when it comes to insurance. We need to really understand the evolution of insurance. If you really see, it started with LIC, and it is an agency-led kind of a model where there are proprietary financial consultants who are really sourcing business. Post privatization in last 10 years, and since my beginning of career in insurance, last 10 years, while I will be talking about some of my general experiences, not any company specific detail, the agency-led model has beginning to get into different new distribution model, where the growth of banking sector has really propelled and have created a clear alternative towards providing a new avenues to connect with the customers and providing a new financial need fulfillment. Further to that came a host of other associated banking services, which are like NBFCs, MFIs, and various partner ecosystems. Now, this is how we need to really understand the origination or the distribution has really grown. And they have not grown because they just want to grow. They have grown because customer actually wants the services from some trusted partner and institution. And they always looked into something which is a brick and mortar or a person in front is going to be really helping. And there is a reason behind it. The reason behind is that insurance, unlike any other product, is a very complex product. It has got many layers of information and contracting requirement, and this contract is for the long term. So say, for example, if I want to really strike a friend, I get into this conversation and a WhatsApp group gets formed. That's the very easiest thing. But if I want to really create my life partner, I will be really choosy and selective about it. So there are a lot of emotional and financial decisioning which actually goes in. And that's where you need some people with whom you want to vet out that information. There is a lack of awareness and all those kind of things. So given this background of a buying process, there is also an evolution of technology which has taken place in last 10 years. And we need to really understand that those technologies are there as a add-on to these channels, or they are substitute. So today we can actually intuitively talk about, I can reach to Alexa and raise my request for a particular buying of a product, and Alexa should be in a position to do that. Or if I really do can Google Assist help me in actually my buying journey? Theoretically possible, and it is also reality in terms of a POC done by many organizations, and maybe in few years you will get those kind of a success stories to really talk about it.
Absolutely.
You talk about can the journey be done on a chat platform alone? Yes, there are journeys which are initiated with chat. There are journeys which are getting initiated with a telemarketing kind of a setup, and it is becoming a norm. It is becoming a defined channel at this point of time. So you name a technology which has come in is becoming a new way of doing it. So direct. So while there is an agency kind of a channel or a banker channel or a partner is there, they continue to be the first point of contact to the customers and create a prospecting journey. The enablement of the journey is technology led. There are only few customers and customers' behavior where if they are informed and they have gathered sufficient information from multiple sources, they can still prefer to go themselves online directly to the website of the company or with the help of an aggregator to really buy that journey. Now, that proportion or the revenue share is there of that channel, which I call is as a unassisted journey or a digital journey or a journey which is actually bringing the latest technology to really bring that kind of a convenience and experience to that kind of a customer. But is it something which is a major impact to my revenue pie? Is it a large kind of a market share? Obviously not. But yes, the dent has started to begin. But across the journey, wherever, whether the business is sourced from a salesperson, from a market, from a banker channel, or from a broker channel, how to really onboard that customer and create a issuance of the policy. Certainly, technology is becoming an integral part of it, and without that, there is no escape. So that's the way we need to be really looking into the evolution of technology and providing of customer experience. So it's not one single bullet in terms of a technology which actually solves the problem. There are different technologies which are getting embedded at different layers and is actually creating that kind of an experience for customers. So yes, in the buying journey, there is a possibility of a digitization in simplifying the entire journey for customers. But customer doing himself that entire journey end to end is still early stages. And to the extent it is there with a certain part of the business, certain types of product, it is only a small fragment of the revenue pie.
Absolutely. I mean, that is like a deepest possible view on the insurance one can get, Jitendraji. Thank you so much on that. While you spoke about the new age inclusions like Alexa and Google to come into the picture and resolve a lot of things for us, and in multi-industry cases for various products for a consumer buying behavior, we could already see this kind of analysis being done by companies. There are tenders which are floated where the requirements are very, very clear about an integration with Alexa, about an integration with Google Home. So that can give a complete new perspective. So in another 3 years to 4 years, we see this technology being more evolved and will be useful for us. I think with that thing, thank you so much, Jitendraji, for contributing your valuable thoughts. Let me move to Shivraj. Shivraj, to give us a view that Shivraj, it's a 24-year-old organization when it comes to your bank and categorized as A-class financial institution, being backed up by the Dutch financial institution, listed in Nepal Stock Exchange, big thing, and have been consecutively awarded Bank of the Year for 2017 and 2018. Yet in the emerging competition, leading financial institutions in Nepal, how do you look at the future and strategies and the growth prospects from your end? And if you can tell us what would be the agenda to build a sustainable and upgradable customer experience management model that you would like to adopt? Over to you, Shivraj.
Thank you, Milind. Basically, of course, the future of is to ensure that we have self-servicing customers. so that we have less traffic at the branch. Currently, the scenario of the entire banking industry here, if you see, is more of a branch-led than the digital platform-led. So basically, we would be looking into the entire industry is moving towards migrating their customers from branch to the digital platform. And due to this current pandemic, the acceleration has and the demand for digital initiatives has been filled in all the banks that are there in Nepal. So basically, we are also no more we are also not an exception of that. So we started the customer journey experience management somewhere around 2018, and then that where we brought on some people, and we did some internal surveys and external surveys with our clients, and what they basically would require on the platform, and what they would require how the platform they have at present would do they suffice their needs on their digital offerings or not, and stuff like that. So then we came up with an idea where like the bank should have a common channel where we should have a platform where we could hang up any of the channels that are available, like your Facebook messengers or your Viber chat box or your web or mobile, whatever challenge you want to offer to your clients should be hooked up into a single platform. So where we got in Paynet Systems to work for us on that, and we have now just few weeks back we launched our first omni-channel platform, where we have somewhere around where we would be putting somewhere around 92 services to the clients, and currently we have around 35 services which are already live on the platform. So this has given us a big leap in Nepal, where we would be leading on the digitization front, even though other banks are still moving in their directions, but we have set a foot ahead of them on this. From strategic perspective, we said earlier, like we plan on every service in the channel where customers are rather forcing the users to use the channels, rather than now what we have strategized is we will give the services on the channels where the customers are using it, like your messengers, or like just to put your notice, like we have also started opening banks account using Facebook messengers and Viber accounts. So that's the one another leap that we have given forward. So we plan to go to the open API sort, where we would host a sandbox where different fintech companies would connect to our APIs, and if the products are good, we would just hang them up with our platform. So basically, the strategy that we have taken is a twofold. First, we want to migrate our existing customers from your branch-based transactions to digital transactions. Then the second part of that would be, we would not just be using this as a technology transformation. We want to use this platform as a revenue channel, where we could generate much revenues to the bank based on opportunities or based on other components. So based on the digital agenda that you said, like the operandi that we have, we want to create a seamless integration between our internal systems first, so that the internal systems, your core banking or your omni-channels or your other workflow management systems or your credit management systems, they should be so tightly integrated that we would be able to provide any services to the customers, any customer information to them, any other attributes, any other products, any other banking information, so that it's there in their fingertips or on the web browser. So that is the first thing that we are looking into. The other thing is, like, we would be building a plug and play service for with the help of microservices that we want to run. It's an architecture where we want to have a plug and play services quickly, and we are also working with the partners and experimenting with different types of services. Like I just said to you, like your messenger banking or your Viber banking or your omni-channel. These are the experiments that we did, and till date we are getting a very good response from the clients and other stakes that we have. And the FMO has given us a mandate that we have to move into the direction what they are looking into, how they are looking into. So that's basically what we would look into is a combination of self-sustains and partnership with the service providers that they are working with us. So that's what we are looking into, Milind, in terms of the operandi. And similarly, if you see, like the government of Nepal is also moving in that direction. Like there are a few organizations that have started like accepting digital channels on their entire day-to-day operations. If I have to name some, like recently your land management revenue department has now started accepting emails as their work on their work culture. So which was previously we have to visit their branch or their locations to do the activities now for your mortgage of your collateral and other stuffs, but now they have started accepting emails on for that front. Similarly, your company registrar office has now started accepting scanned documents to register a company on their platform. So, and similarly, the government of Nepal has come up with a 2019 digital framework where they have categorized 8 sectors with 80 recommendations on different sectors, and financial sector is one of the major sectors where they have come up with the provision of establishing a national switch, national payment gateway, national clearing, and different stuffs. So jointly, obviously, we are far behind the other countries in terms of national infrastructure in digitization, but the pace is getting very quickly. We are moving into that pace. So that's Milind, what thing the operandi would be, that we would be working along with the government in terms of your eKYC or other stuffs.
Shivraj, that really gives me a very widespread view when it comes to Nepal as a market. And just to give you an idea, I mean, I work for an organization which is Infobip, and we've spread our legs into Nepal, and we've tried taking certain permissions to start up digital businesses. We've seen the kind of pace that government has taken to catch up to the other rest of the world. And the pace that NMB is catching up to ensure to take a step ahead in the digitization is also commendable. Thank you so much, Shivraj, for all your views. That gets me excitement to the next level, to the further level, to talk about a complete digitized experience when it comes to a new age banking. And I would invite Anand to come here and share a stage with us once again. And Anand, Fino Bank being one of the new models. When it comes to the banks, there's a newer way of lending free operations. How do you see the expectations of your customers different from those who are being a part of the regular traditional retail banking? Over to you, Anand. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I guess Anand is facing some connectivity issues. I would request moderators to just check once again. Anand, can you hear us?
Milind, I would request you to continue the panel discussion. Meanwhile, we will connect with Anand and figure out the issue. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yes, yes, Justin, we will. Those were the fantastic.
Really doesn't make sense to hang around. I'm exiting. I mean, it just really, we're holding up the others. Okay. What do you want me to do?
Sorry, there was a disturbance in between. I mean, while we're looking at the new age channels for the inclusion of your banking system, okay, I just wanted a view. I wanted to understand, how do you look at these new age channels to being part of your original infrastructure? And why I'm saying original infrastructure, because this is a traditional infrastructure. All the developments have happened over this traditional infrastructure, and then later on, there were multiple OTT channels, chat apps, or sort of developments which have happened, and they come and sit on the technology. They connect via API and give a new age advantage to your customers. So Shivangi, I mean, if we could get few views from you, a channel like WhatsApp, in case, I mean, that has to be integrated. And how do you look at it from your point of view, from the industry point of view, or when it comes to enhancing your customer experience and taking it to the next level?
So Milind, when I talk about taking the customer experience to a different level, and when I talk about these various artificial intelligence or solutions. So for example, when I talk about chatbot as one of the means, I have seen that using this in silos or using this individually may not serve the purpose, considering that the journey that each of these processes have in insurance are quite more complex as compared to other sectors. So there comes that point where we have to see how do we leverage other methods into AI or various different methods, or club them together. So I would like to talk about one of the projects that I was heading last year, for Tata AG specifically, because when it comes to general insurance, the kind of underwriting that happens is different for different products. Some are customized, some are not, logical based. So there has to be a very robust quality control in place there. And having said that, having such a huge team, to manually monitor this was another challenge that we were facing early last year. What we did was, we thought that how about using artificial intelligence into this. And when we started with the project, it seemed quite easy, but then we realized that we could not just have a solution with one of the improvement tools, but we had to club in a lot of other tools. Like we had to club in OCR within RPA or machine learning, for various products. So if it's going to be a challenge for the industry. The reason being, specifically for insurance, the reason being that there is no one-stop solution or one-stop tool that is going to help us achieve this.
Right. Sorry, I think due to the internet issue, we lost Shvangi in between. Her conversation broke. Nevertheless, we will continue the discussion. We will not stop here. Once she comes back, she can complete it for us. I'll move to Jitendra ji. Jitendra ji, can you give us an example of any of
So there are n number of examples because it's a world of customer, and obviously every customer interaction matters. Now across the touch point.
I'm sorry. Because I just
yes, Shivangi, you were audible. I think you finished, so I moved to Jitendra ji. So I was just taking it up. Thank you so much, Shivangi.
So I was just talking about across all the touch points, when customer is coming in, there is a moment of magic opportunity for an organization to enable it through a high touch and high tech kind of a enablement. Now both is required. It can't be that only a technology which is at the face of it, which could be like maybe a face sense or maybe an iris kind of a thing. I'm not sure whether that will create an STP experience, whether customer is ready for it, nor your backend is ready to really create that kind of an experience. So it is very important that you select the right kind of a use case to really create that kind of a change in the experience, keeping customer in mind, not technology in mind. And that's precisely is the challenge many organizations face, that they are so very perturbed about the evolution of technology and the very sheer availability of technology, that they wanted to really apply it at any cost. And that cost could be really costlier if it is not changing the experience for the customer. So selecting a use case and understanding the pain of the customer, solutioning that pain, and if that pain can be addressed through a technology, go for it. So I'll give you an example. The whole of call center, which is traditionally built where there are people who are essentially trying to connect, but what they are doing is reading a script. They are just following a particular process, and still a human being is not providing that experience. And most of us are actually a victim of that particular journey, saying that, yeah, I want resolution, not understanding you as a parrot. So if that is the kind of a bottleneck which is there of interacting with a human being, if a technology is brought in to substitute a human being, obviously it is designed to fail. But if you really apply yourself right, that what are those things which a person is doing, which is monotonous in nature, which is routine in nature, which is something which is common, which anyway has to be narrated. And what are few of the things which is requiring is sensitization, a empathy element, and a solutioning element to really resolve some of those chronic pain. So if you classify that, you can certainly take away large part of your call, which could be routinely managed through a voice bot. And then escalation kind of a situation with a trigger can be made available to a human being. And if that is applied properly, it can change the whole economics and the experience for the customer. So customers are really happy. And without introduction by my bot as that I am a bot, it is introducing itself as a human being, and they are doing my renewal calling.
Rightly said, Jitendra ji. I mean, that could take so many current live examples, and they run into my mind, and I rejuvenate every experience that I had, where I was thinking that why is this technologically not right, and am I not getting the personalized attention from this particular brand, and that. So yes, I mean, rightly said. If you have to bring in a WhatsApp, and if you have to bring in a chat bot for that matter, okay, there has to be a interactive voice response system backing it up. So this journey has to be a flow. This journey should not be there to hamper anywhere when it comes to a customer experience or confuse the customer in what exactly I should be using. While I'm entering inside, there's a voice available, there's an OTT channel available, there's an email available, I mean, and there is a branch available where I can walk up. So giving that confidence back to customer, and rightly said by Shivangi, this is not one thing. You have flavors of natural language processing coming into the picture. You need an automation rightly at the point where it can fetch certain information. It has an ability to understand the behavior of the customer. And then yes, because India being a country where we've got so many languages, it has to reflect the multilingual capability to react back and to go back and answer the customers. So thank you so much, Jitendra ji, for that example. Quickly, coming back to the last topic, Shivraj, if you could give us some of the new technology inclusions that either you've implemented or you're looking forward to, and what can enhance having these in your system being implemented in your system.
Thank you, Milind. So basically coming up, like now the race has gone up so high that now we have to catch up with the technological race that we have. So now since the channels are up, and now sidewise we are looking into the other platforms, like we are trying to acquire a technology where we could provide a loan on 3 hours loan to our payroll clients. That is one. And the other is like we are trying to digitize the entire processes of the bank, the internal processes, where we have another partner who has been working on that scenario with us. And we are somewhat in the phase of the final stages of those platform implementation. And that would be also integrated with the channels, and the customers can work on that, accept the transactions from the channels on that front as well. And similarly, we are implementing the collection management and recovery management solutions in the bank as well, which we don't have as of now. And say post-COVID, that is one of the major requirements that we have, and we intend to complete that process, project in a span of 6 months' time. So these are a few technologies that are coming up in the bank. But beyond that, now what we see after a year where we want to move ahead or what. So basically, what we want is like. If you see the roadmap that we have built, if I can give you a small snapshot of the roadmap that we have built, like we want the entire employee of the bank to be self-service, and we want the customers of the bank to be self-service. So these are two fronts that we are looking into. So when we are
Right.
So when we are when we are working on the entire planning of this entire strategic digital strategy of the bank, what we said was like, first your backbone should be digitized. First you should be internally digitized. Then once you are strong on that front, then it's better to plug in other services, other channels that you can bring in. So, will have a major impact on the others, on the clients. So that's the direction, that's the strategy that we have taken as of now. So we have another partner from India who is working on the internal digitization process, and we have Paynet Systems who has been helping us on the customer front. So we want to have the customers everything on the single channel rather than they move into different websites, different locations, different channels. So basically what we want, like even the regulations of the central bank, they don't allow us to bring everything on the channels, but still what we have tried to do is limiting the time of a customer that he or she spends at the branch. That is one of the major strategies. If the regulations start easing up, then we will be moving in that direction only. But we are trying to prepare the system in such a way that today any system that has to go from channels to your workflow, and if a central bank allows that, okay, this channel, these transactions can be done online, or this can be done through a straight through, then immediately we will be ready to move that transaction from a workflow perspective to a directly STP perspective. So that is how we are designing the entire architecture of the digital framework of the bank. So that is that is what we are looking into. And basically now, if you see the population of Nepal and if you see the data that we have, every hour there are somewhere around 125 new people are joining into an internet platform. So there are, if you see the number of people that have subscribed to the mobile app, SIM cards is twice the number of the population at times, because people are using 2 SIMs, 3 SIMs based on their requirement. So the penetration of mobile is so high that now if I give you something good on the channels, on the website, no people is going to notice that. So that has to come into a mobile application. So we are building an application in such a way that the customer should be free to use the application in such a way that it's so easy. And that's the direction that we want to take. Like tomorrow, if a central bank opens a digital banking license, we should be there in the front, number one, we should be in the front to apply for that license. That's the direction that that's the strategy that we are building it. So that's the strategy, Milind.
Thank you so much, Shivraj, for the detailed view, and that gives me a clear indication that when it comes to NMB, they're trying to get to the grassroots level and eliminate those old age challenges and trying to bring in the revolution in the banking part, what Nepal is looking at, and that gives us an overview about how the entire Nepal telco, which relates to the banking industry, is shaping up. Thank you so much for that. Thanks a lot to all the dignitaries. I mean, that takes us to the end of the panel session today. And I would request Justin to come and take over from here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful and insightful session. Milind, we have a few questions. I have an open question and I also have a direct question. I'll start with the open question. So is this post-COVID shift, or is this what has been observed last year as well? Business evolve and ways of doing it evolves as the technology upgrade happens. Now the question is, what has been the business uptake over a period of last 3 years scenario, and what has changed in the last 3 years, and what was this, was there a surge in sales as year-on-year growth? So that's one question I have. The second one is a direct question to Shivangi Karma. Shivangi, the question is, have you started using any digital medium on motor insurance claim management and settlement, like reporting of incident and support? These are 2 questions I have as of now. Attendees, please go ahead and share specific questions in the chat panel while our panelists will look into the questions we have right now. Over to you, Milind. Thank you.
Right. So I'll take the first question, but I would request Shivangi, because it's a direct question, I would request her to answer that. And later on, I'll take the question on the digitization, pre-COVID, post-COVID, and the requirement. Over to you, Shivangi.
Could you just repeat the question again, because I had a little network glitch.
No problem.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So the question is, have you started using any digital medium on motor insurance claim management and settlement, for example, reporting of incident and support?
Yes. So, like I said, we've used video streaming as one of the digital medium where customers, brokers, and even people at the automobiles can, use this platform with the lowest bandwidth. The USP of this is that you can, even if if you're poor on network, you can still access to our video streaming app. And right from investigation to inspection of the vehicle is done using this. So we've already done that.
Justin, if you could repeat that question. Yes, Shivangi, you answered the question. Justin, if you could repeat the first question, which was an open one, I would like to take it up from the technology standpoint for the industry.
Absolutely, sir. So the question is this post-COVID shift, or is this what has been observed last years as well? Business evolve and ways of doing it evolves as technology upgrade happens. The question is, what has been the business uptake over a period of last 3 years? What has changed in these 3 years? Was there a surge in sales?
Right. So the very first thing, I'm in pre-COVID and a post-COVID. Every organization was taking a turn, and they're becoming a very technology adoptive, and they're becoming a very technology driven organization. I'm coming from an A2P cloud industry, and being a part of a SaaS company, I could see the growth in demand. And I'm talking about pre-COVID. I'm talking about the entire 2019 calendar year as well as the financial year. The financial year came to an end in March, and unfortunately, with this global pandemic, we all were into our houses, and there was a new age working introduced to us. However, the demand was always there since 2019. I'll give you an example. I mean, whoever has asked this question is a very valid question. Something like in WhatsApp as a channel, most of the organizations wanted to add a new digital channel in their product portfolio, in their portfolio of investing on the customer communication. And the request was almost 4 to 5 companies out of 10. I mean, that was the ratio that we were coming in. Category A, Category B companies who have invested a lot into the infrastructure. When it comes to the customer communication management, all of them wanted WhatsApp as one of the channels to communicate. However, the demand and the surge in the increase, which has happened after the COVID, is because we were introduced to complete new age infrastructure of reaching out to people, of making our daily work doses from our home. And that has changed. The initial month, people started thinking, how do they actually check? How do they actually analyze that what is needed? Continue this arrangement and to be able to come to a new normal, which we are today, which I would say things are not that great outside in the market when it comes to medical fraternity or when it comes to any of the medical conditions in the country. But when it comes to businesses, they are doing every single thing to ensure they can breathe, they can be alive again, and they can do the business in the market via and with various channels. Facebook's was something which was considered just as a social media, has now been predominantly used by those small time business holders to promote their product in the market. Now, Facebook has a product which is WhatsApp. There are people who adopted WhatsApp. There's an enterprise WhatsApp available in the market, which has been procured by companies, that has been connected to their internal chatbots, that's connected to the artificial intelligence and machine learning module within the company, that's been connected to their CRMs in order to give outputs to their customers. So this is not pre-COVID. The pre-COVID, the movement had started a year back. Our companies have started adopting the new technology. Yes, but it has taken up a pace, but it has also taken a hit on the budgets. Because of the last 4 months COVID, the way the finance industry has been hit, the way people had to change their perception and the interpretations towards market, there is a change management which is taking place when it comes to literal budgets and on expenditure of any of the new technology. So I hope that suffices and gives you the answer that you're looking forward to. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you so much, Milind. I'm not getting any further questions, and I believe we could. Okay, I'm getting one right now. No, that's a thank you note. Okay, I think we can conclude the panel discussion that opens up the next agenda, which is the keynote presentation on driving personalized customer experience in BFSI through technology by Mr. Milind Kadam, the Regional Business Head of Infoweb India Private Limited. I would request Mr. Milind Kadam to join me at the backstage green room so we can start the session. Once again, I thank all the panelists for contributing and for that wonderful and insightful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Milind. Thank you, all the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
A very good evening and warm welcome to all the dignitaries to be part of the event today. I am Milind Kadam. I am the business head. I'm the regional business head for Infoweb India Limited. Today we're discussing the driving personalized customer experience through technology. And why are we discussing that? This technology has brought us to the level where there are multiple things around us have come into our phone. And that has been so much personalized for us that 24/7 that's been part of our life. And that is where I want to take you through a presentation or a slide to give you an example. How exactly are we looking at this? While I talk about customer expectations versus reality. What is my expectation? My expectation is while I go to China, the Great Wall of China should be empty like this, and I will be all around the place. I can go enjoy, have my selfies, take my photographs, talk about these scenarios with my friend and tell them how we've enjoyed the scenic beauty. But when it comes to reality, I mean, do we all know how it is? This is how it is. This is the reality. In the environment of a technology, we want to always have a very personalized experience, but we're not alone. We are surrounded by multiple people. We are surrounded by multiple agendas, technology deployments when it comes to applications and whatnot. I mean, for that matter, nowadays we're not even with one SIM card; we're with two SIM cards. So that's how the technology is trying to take things for us. When it comes to what customer expects, okay, when it comes to their engagement on their terms, there are 40% of the consumers say they would stay loyal to their bank if they provide more personalized services. There are 27% of the consumers say experience that they receive from their bank's branch, online and mobile channels it's completely seamless. So can you imagine 27% have seamless experience? This is the global data. And if 27% has a seamless experience, there are so many of them who are yet to get that kind of an experience, or probably they're waiting for some development. There are 36% of the consumers say that the primary reason they think about switching bank is simply poor service. Where do you think that they get this poor service? When they approach the bank, when they probably approach an employee. So it's either an on-banking experience, there's a possibility, and it happened with me, a very real-time example. I opened an online account. I wanted to experience that. What happened next? I opened it, but there was no KYC done because the link of the video KYC wasn't opening up. The other thing is I transferred some initial balance in that account. There was no balance reflecting next morning. I didn't know what happened. What will it lead to? A dissatisfaction. And that is the reason the 36% consumers, they say that it's poor service that leads to changing the bank. 62% of the customers are agree. It's important to have an ability to easily switch between channels while banking. Easily switch between channels. I mean, what do we think about it? Easily switch That means either you go to a voice app or you call them up on the phone. If the phone is not reachable, the voice app should respond immediately. There has to be an equivalent to a DTMF input, which should come into the picture, which can ideally lead you to any of the conversational platform with the agents of the bank, and you can have seamless transactions with them. Is that happening today? No, it's not. Only 62% people are coming and talking about it. Rest of them, they're not even talking about it because they just experience one simple medium. More than 50% of the generation Y, the millennials, are likely to leave their banks in next 6 months. Trust me, I am not the one. Offering multi-channel support can improve your customer satisfaction up to 36%. I mean, we can look at the stats and we understand where are we heading and how much is an improvement room for us to going forward, and how we need to deploy and adopt technology. First is adopt technology, then deploy technology to ensure that people get an experience out of it. Response and return. Now, what banks and the BFSI industry is doing in response to this entire piece? How is the industry responding, technically speaking? Increased focus on customer centricity. How do you increase focus on customer centricity? You have multiple meetings, you go and intimate to your different departments, you have different briefings with them, you talk about new strategies that can emerge when it comes to customer centricity. You give training to people, and then you talk to your IT department and ask them that what kind of a technology that we can bring in which will create an ease for customer. The digitization and the modernization, that is what we are looking at. Artificial intelligence. I mean, we all heard sometime back in the panel that an insurance company using the artificial intelligence and the automation to power up their OTT channels, to power up their chat modules, to be able to fetch the data for the customer, to be able to understand the behavior of the customer, to understand what kind of a chat they had with that customer. Keep that in mind. So the history basis, you will be able to serve him and enhance his entire experience by telling him, you asked us a question last time that what was your NAV. Today we are ready. Do you want us to give it back to you once again? You're still holding that policy. You want to know what is your total amount as of now, which has been held with us, and how it has grown in multifolds, or what is the percentage of profits that you made. I mean, that's kind of an artificial intelligence and automation we're looking at. Innovation, emerging technologies with tech partnerships. Now, something that can be done alone. But do you think every BFSI or a bank or insurance company can do all of this alone? They'll have to do multiple partnerships. Partnerships when it comes to a branch banking, they'll have to increase their branches. Who do they partner? They'll have to increase number of ATMs, because that is the kind of a service which is available for the people to go to that particular branch ATM and remove the money. So these partnerships are more important. Even going a level ahead with credit cards, there are different tech partnerships which are in place, which attracts every consumer to come to that bank or to call for a credit card for that bank. So that's banking and BFSI response in return. When it comes to voice of customer, all of this, insufficient focus on, in spite of doing all of this, there are challenges with digital. And what do we hear from the customers? Insufficient focus on digital performance. Insufficient focus on digital performance means if your app is not performing last 15-20 days, if there are flaws in your app, still there is time taken. But a consumer point of view, it is no focus on that particular digital app, so that experience is still bad. When it comes to fragmented data, the data has been spread into bits and pieces. For one particular thing, you may have to go to the branch. For XYZ things can be available on the interactive voice response when you make a phone call. But there are certain things which are definitely possible on the app. So it's all fragmented. Product versus customer-centric perspective. I mean, we all know about it. What is the product that banking wants to pitch and the customer, what they're looking at? There's always a difference. Fragmented marketing tool ecosystem. Now, every brand in BFSI have their particular specific marketing tools, which they're bringing together, collaborating on a single platform. But how much ever they try and collaborate it, the sources of these are so much fragmented and break down into pieces that they'll never be able to put them into and bundle it together. Limited coordination between teams. Multiple teams working. There's a branch banking team, there's a digital banking team, there is an IT team who's providing the bandwidth for all of this, there's a development team. So we all understand how important is the coordination between all of these teams to put them under a single umbrella to be able to deliver deliver a product which is needed to enhance the experience of the customer. Lack of digital marketing skills. Now, lack of digital marketing skills is something which is really concern and worrying any organization, because when you don't have right set of people to work upon, when they have a very limited motive of digitizing or bringing in new age technology, or they have a fear of adoption, this is technically what happens in your organization. Our approach, and let's organize this piece. What is it needed, okay, for an organization to come together and to ensure that they launch a very seamless and a robust platform which takes this fragmented approach away, gives a consolidated outlook and an output for a consumer. So reimagining the customer experience management completely. And we have cross-channel management and campaigns. We've got marketing tools. We've got a web content coming from. We have emails which are going either in a promotional in nature or transactional in nature. We've got CRM systems which have to be connected, and then there has to be a personalized experience, okay, in form of SMSs, in form of the communication that a BFSI wants to send to their current set of customers. So how do we do it? How do we put that into a perspective? Preparation, engagement, analysis, and review. Rather further digging into this particularly, I mean, all these four pillars or these four essential and crucial factors will help us gather this experience for the customer together. That takes me to the pillars of the customer experience management. Real-time unified profile, which is definitely needed to be done at the same place. Sorry, okay. Real-time unified profile, which is needed, the content velocity, which is needed, cross-channel orchestration is required, intelligence and ecosystem are the part of it, and these are two really important pillars. While we're looking at all of this, what do you think would be the priorities for the BFSI today? The key digital business priorities for the BFSI and the entire industry. The new customer acquisition, obviously, if we don't do the acquisition, how would we ensure that our business keeps on running and the new revenue would start flowing in? Increase customer retention. Deep customer relationships with cross-sell and upsell. Cross-sell and upsell is the language every sales organization, BFSI organization is talking today. Increase profit margin per customer. I mean, we keep looking at our products and enhancements, where all it can be done, where all it can be deployed, or where all we can make the experience better, that we can have our margins going up. Provide consistent and high quality customer experience, and that is why we have these state of art apps. We keep on doing development on them. We try and enhance the in-banking experience, the app experience, as well as the voice experience for the customer. Reduce the cost to serve, the cost to service per customer, cost to serve per customer. Here I would like to take you through some of the inputs, okay, and how to start, how to go when you want to look at digitization, when you want to look at adding additional channels, and if you want to start with Infobip. What Infobip offers on table. Infobip is a global player. We bring in a local reach, but we have a global presence. We are currently having 60 plus offices with 200 great employees working for us. There are 600 plus direct carrier connections and 25 data centers. While I brought the perspective here, as Infobip has been successful, reaching out to multiple BFSI industry customers and have been powering them, okay, with multiple products to ensure that we enhance their customer experience, their customer experience better. When it comes to Infobip is a global leader in omni-channel communication, powering a broad range of messaging channels, tools, solutions for advanced. When it comes to Infobip, it's all about action, benefits that you get, and for action and benefits put together, what is the awareness, how we do the onboarding, what kind of an engagement that we have with the consumer support and customers, what kind of a support that we offer when it comes to a complete power pack performance, when it comes to our products, and how do we retain the customers. Customer experience and their engagement is the key to it. the authentication and security is been taken care of, as well as support and retention is the matter where the team works together and collaboratively. One platform for all the channels when it comes to SMS, email, your chat apps, your mobile app messaging, the new age RCS which is being launched, as well as the voice interactive services. For that, Infobip is the partner for you. And that is where I end my presentation. Say thank you to all of you, and I would rather take questions in case if anyone has. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you for that wonderful and insightful presentation, Milind. Thank you. Attendees, it's time for the QA. If you have questions, please use either the question option or the chat option to connect with Milind. While we wait for question, next up we have another keynote on how BFI's organization can transform itself to meet the challenges of ever-changing landscape of customer experience expectation in the COVID and post-COVID world with SAP Customer Experience Solution by Mr. Tirupati Rao, the Global Practice Head CX of Acquia Consulting. Right after this keynote, we will be starting on with the next keynote. Milind, I am not seeing any questions coming through, and I believe we could conclude this keynote.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And before I would also request Mr. Tirupati Rao to join me on the backstage on the green room so we could start the next session. Thank you once again, Milind. I'll connect with you soon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking out time and listening to us. We had a very great session, heard a lot of things, of course, from Shivangi and Milind and others. So today what we are going to do is we are going to talk about what is that BFSI as a vertical needs to do in order to what are the strategy that it needs to adopt to come out of this current crisis. Hope you are able to see my screen and hear me okay. Justin, Nitin, you all can hear me okay, right?
Yes, Mr. Rao, please go ahead.
Yeah, great. Great. So just a brief background. So I have been in this industry for last 20 odd years. Last 10 years has been specifically in the sales performance and the customer experience space. I have worked with a lot of industries, worked with a lot of insurance companies. In fact, most of the insurance organization would know about me. So I have worked, so in my new role, I'm actually working with a lot of global customers. So I'll give you a perspective of what's happening globally, what organizations are actually doing, which organizations in India can actually replicate to come out of this crisis and drive business growth. So, so this is a study done by McKinsey & Company, where we specifically looked at banking organizations during the pandemic. What they try to understand is have the customers matured enough to go through the digital journey? And this was them starting revelation where it actually showed that even in matured markets, the level of digitalization even if it is there, customers are not tuned in to go back to that particular journey. The other aspect is McKinsey tried to understand in terms of what are the different areas that customers are actually buying, whether they are opening up a new account, buying up a credit card, what purchases they are doing. So this is kind of giving a retail banking journey experience. And of course, what also came out where there were different mediums, like we have WhatsApp, we have Alexa, and all of these things deployed. But the center of the story is how can this employee can drive a different differential experience for the organization. So that's actually came out of that particular study. So having said so, what we are going to talk about today is, okay, what has changed during COVID, okay, which has brought disruption for the BFSI vertical. Then we will talk about what are the strategies that your peers in other global markets are actually doing to win this. Then we will actually we will touch upon one of the portfolio solutions of from the SAP customer experience portfolio, SAP Commissions, how it will help your sales team to deliver business growth for you even during the pandemic. Then I will actually touch upon about a case study of an insurance customer in India who is actually doing it and has been able to drive business growth even after the disruption that has actually happened. And of course, lastly, I will touch about how can you provide seamless omni-channel personalized CX. Like Milind talked about the different digital mediums that we have today, but still there is an experience gap that the customers see. So I will drill down deep into in terms of how can you bridge that gap and try to understand what those gaps are and how you can actually address those. So what has changed during COVID, right? One is the lockdown that was implemented for last 3 months, wherein everybody was working from home. There was a complete disruption. So organizations, like when it was March, organizations were not very ready to adapt itself to this new norm that has been that has come into being. The other important aspect was customers' preference now is want to have a contactless selling experience, and they are they should be in a position to complete their documentation remotely. So that's the reason now you have a lot of banks having this video KYCs and all of those things. So the other aspect is how do you drive business even with the current crisis? Okay, because at the end of the day, it matters. Like you have an employee base, you have for which you need to take care of their well-being and their financial stability. Emergence of new opportunities, how business models have actually changed. Like Shivangi talked about a kind of an aggregated based on how you drive, that's how you pay for your policy. So those kinds of different business models that have come into being. I will also talk about some of the things your peers are actually doing in other markets, some new concepts which you can see if you can explore in this part of the region. Of course, decline in branch-driven sales. So nobody is now comfortable walking into a branch, whether it is a bank, whether it is an insurance or any financials. And of course, limited serviceability. So today, as everything has moved contactless, so you have to ensure you deliver the right experience and you service the customers. But there are some limitations which so that has brought about because of this particular disruption. And of course, because all the employees are now working from home, it's kind of an anxiety that they have in terms of because now they are not interacting with their managers, they are not interacting with their peers. So there's kind of an anxiety in terms of trying to understand how are we moving, having a visibility in trying to understand what is in store for them for the future. So let's talk about how would organizations in the BFSI vertical win during this pandemic. Okay, customers offer contactless service. Like today we have different mediums, like you have WhatsApp through which people are actually interacting. In fact, I came across a bank where it was talking about they were in a position to service their customer virtually. They had a virtual platform, like through an app itself. They have a virtual screen wherein the end customer is able to react, to interact with the employees of the bank. From insurance companies, they are the agents. They are able to interact them through that particular app. So that is kind of providing a seamless contactless experience, offering omni-channel experience. Like today, because there is a lot of social media channels, like you have Twitter today, you have the Facebooks of the world, you have the WhatsApps of the world. There may be a customer who may start his interaction at Twitter, but he would like to continue that interaction in Facebook. So how can you connect all these dots together and provide seamless experience? Of course, how can you get a seamless insight in the experience data and can do predictive analytics to understand the customer journey? So where Milind talked about the different videos where you can actually collect the customer data or their experiences. But one of the important aspect, which is very much important, is how can you marry it with your operational data and get a 360-degree view in term and come up with some personalized experience that you can provide to your end customers. From an employee perspective, today it is increasingly HR organizations are now working to ensure how can they launch different programs for their employees' well-being, reskilling them and helping to be more productive even if they are working remotely, by providing all the tools and technologies for them to do that, so that they are able to do their jobs 100%. And also bringing a transparency in terms of having regular town halls to them, even it may be at the departmental level, giving them a perspective how you are actually moving, what is it that the organization is going to do next, what is the perspective in terms of even after opening up the office, what are the different security measures that the organization is going to take into consideration for their particular well-being. So these are all the things that helps you to motivate your employees. And from a feet on street community perspective, even during this pandemic, what has actually happened, organizations globally, what they are actually doing is they are asking their feet on street to concentrate more on building a pipeline, and then rather than pushing for immediate sale, just to show an empathy to their customers or their prospects, and giving a human touch to that. And of course, providing all the tools and technologies to your feet on street community so that they are in a position to service their customers across their different demands that they actually have. So this is the entire SAP CX customer portfolio. So there are different solutions that we have around. Like we have sales that covers the CRM part of it. Then we have the commissions, marketing, wherein you can send different marketing promotions. Commerce, where you can have self-service for your customers to come in and do it. Service, in terms of how do you service your customers, both offline and online and offline. Field service as well. But what we are going to talk about today is more on the commissions and how you can use that particular solution to drive your feet on street, to drive revenues for you during the pandemic. And then we will talk about Qualtrics in terms of how do you bring in, bridge the gap of their experience and provide a seamless experience across their different touch points. So now let's talk about how does the solution actually help you to help your sales team to drive business growth. Of course, one of the important pillars is how the business team, right? So what can the business team do? So today, what insurance organization or other BFSI organization across the globe, what they are actually doing, they are looking at qualitative parameters. So qualitative parameters, there may be some parameters which says that, okay, how many new customers are they meeting? How many existing customers are they meeting? What kind of virtual meetings they are actually having? So it's kind of paying them on the basis of these qualitative variables, running short schemes to it during this pandemic. So it is kind of a step-by-step approach. Because when March started, when the lockdown was introduced, the organizations were just cobbling about to do, now what do I do next? They didn't have a proper business continuity planning, because nobody thought that we would come into a virtual world, that everything would happen virtually to us. The second aspect is, how can I run simulations of schemes? The different qualitative schemes that I have, even after running that, I should be in a position that should actually help me to still drive business growth for me in the market. So through that, the simulations of schemes are possible. Parameters, so you have their historical data in terms of what parameters were actually driving the real behavior of your feet on street, then actually use them to have the right kind of mix to drive sales performance of your feet on street in the market. From a feet on street community, what you can actually do, you can pass on these schemes on a real time to your end customers. So the solution actually helps you to do that. So there is no gap, because usually what is seen in pre-COVID world, till the time a scheme was thought about and till the time it was communicated to the feet on street, the time gap was very huge. But here we are talking about a solution wherein today you do it, tonight your feet on street knows what is the new scheme is all about. Then giving them a visibility as to where they do stand in their schemes, and the solution actually tells them what is it that they need to do in order to achieve in order to qualify and achieve it. What if analysis? So today increasingly it has, see, one of the behavior that human behavior is, what is in it for me, right? So your feet on street would like to try and understand through a what if analysis. You can drive role-based analytics to show them where do they stand, and if they do 10 virtual meetings, if they talk to 5 extra existing customers, what is the money that they are going to make, or what are the points that they are actually going to get. So that actually helps you to drive the behavior in the market, even during this pandemic. So I will also talk about a case study. This is a very interesting case study, which they have been our customers. They have been using SAP Commissions for a long time, but how this solution has actually helped them during this current crisis. So one of the critical success factors they said is, we want to understand what are the variables that were actually driving sales. So the other important success factor, they wanted to see how flexible the solution can help me to drive this growth during the pandemic. And of course, what is the real-time reporting can I give to my feet on street and my management and my business users in order to drive sales in the market. So business results, what business results they got? They actually understood the way they were paying on the qualitative parameters. There were some leakages that they actually found. So during this pandemic, because they were more concentrating earlier on the quantitative aspect, and they were also paying for the qualitative aspect, but during the pandemic where the emphasis was more on qualitative, they actually found out that they were doing a lot of 33% of more money or points that they were giving to your feet on street. Secondly, it also helped them to understand who their profitable agents were. So today, during this pandemic, they found out that their profitable agents were bringing in 80% of their business. So they have tuned in their entire energy towards that 80% of their agents to drive revenues for them in the market. So this is how the solution has actually helped them. Of course, help them to find out who their profitable agents were, and of course, reduce the overpayments. So this brings to me an end to the SAP Commissions solutions space. And of course, I just covered on the feet on street. Now let's talk about from an experience perspective, what is the differential experience that you can give to your employees as well as your end customers. Okay, so how can you deliver a seamless omni-channel experience? So here we are talking about a solution which is SAP Qualtrics. So the Qualtrics actually takes care, this particular solution suite actually takes care 4 facets of the entire journey that the customer goes through. Okay, one is the customer experience, second is the employee experience, third is the product experience, and the last one is the brand experience. Increasingly, what I have actually seen for the last so many years, organizations are only giving a more emphasis on customer experience, but they are not looking at employee experience, they are not looking at product experience and the brand experience. Because for an organization to be successful, even in the current pandemic, they had to look at the entire messaging that is actually going to their end customers, and how then they map that back to the operations data, so that they understand which are the things that they were actually lacking on. So one of the important pillars in is employee experience. So employee experience is you need to keep listening to your workforce to different mediums. It can be through town halls, different collaboration technologies that they have. There was an interesting insurance company who was inviting ideas from their employees in terms of how they can do better. How can they make their lives more easy when it comes to working? So those kinds of things. So this is a solution through which you can actually channel that back information back into the market, back from your employees to the organization, and also how to connect people to the larger cause, right? Everybody is concerned about themselves, right? Everybody doesn't want to get exposed to the virus which is moving around. So how can you connect employees to the larger way, saying that the pride that they can have, that even during these difficult times, they are still serving their customers 100%. So it's kind of giving them creating an emotional quotient, so that they get attached to the cause the organization has been running for. And from your end customers, engage with your customers at their own terms across their digital mediums at any point of the day. So things have actually changed from today, like it has now become as any ATI, which is known as anytime information, to help them, because that actually comes me to an insurance company, a health insurer who got 2 o'clock call in the night from its customer, and his father was admitted in the hospital, and he had to go through immediate surgery. At that point of time, he picked up and called the call center, and there was a call center guy who was available right there for him to address his challenges and provide what are things that are covered, and also telling him that things would be actually taken care. So that's kind of experience. That is what the experience is all about, right? Today, we as human beings would like to have such kind of an experience from the brands that we are associated with. And of course, so today we, as products have become commodity, how can you differentiate your product from others, or your brand against others? It is based on trying to get feedbacks from your different mediums, your employees, your customers, your feet on street, as what is lagging in the solution, and then bring that up and creating a differential experience for your end customers. So I will actually walk you through a interesting video saying how Allianz actually uses Qualtrics.
Industrial insurer within the Allianz Group.
We provide global solutions for the biggest businesses in the world.
Since Oliver Bäte took over as the group CEO, he initiated the renewal agenda. The centerpiece of the renewal agenda is customer centricity.
Insurance is, even for corporate clients, not the exciting part of their business. The reality is, what we're trying to do is to bring in that personal touch.
Understanding what are their pain points on a daily basis and be there where maybe they don't expect us to be. Also being able to anticipate their needs.
We are starting at a position of strength, being the market leader, but we're not complacent. We need to keep driving that, respond to our customers so that we can raise that bar.
We have been customer-centric before, but we were not globally consistent. We had various types of customer feedback tools in place in each and every market.
What we needed was one platform to bring all that customer insight together,
so that we break out of our silos and really have a one customer view.
Qualtrics Experience Management was the best option for us because of the ability to embed the customer focus throughout the entire organization.
The platform allows anybody to see those results and respond to them in their area of expertise.
As an example, in the past, we had specific points within the claims process
And we thought these points are very important for the client. We have realized, yes, the client likes that, but most important are other aspects of the claims process, which we were not so aware of. So today, claims has moved from a back office function to a strategic client-facing function.
So it is actually because of projects that we are able to shape products for the future. It's very important for us that we listen, that we have constant dialogue. It's all about the experience.
Importantly, what we learn from those experiences, that's at the core of what we do as a business and where we're going as a business.
So this brings me to the end of the presentation. I would be open for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. Attendees, please be advised that we have a big... Attendees, please go ahead and shoot your questions to us either via chat or using the questing panel. While we wait for questions to come through, I wanted to remind attendees that next up we have a panel discussion on what strategy should banking, insurance, financial sector organization adopt to enhance customer experience on both feet on the street as well as end customers in post-COVID world. This panel discussion will be moderated by Mr. Tirupati Rao, the Global Practice Head of Activa Consulting. Alongside Mr. Rao, we have Mr. Sandeep Bhatia, the Country Head of Capgemini in India, Amitabh Khanna, Vice President of Custom Delivery MasterCard, Gagan Singla, the Chief Strategy Officer of IIFL Holdings Limited, Mr. Navneet M, Senior Vice President, CASO, and Mr. Saurabh Sinha, Vice President and Head for FinTech, TransUnion Civil Limited. Right, Mr. Rao, I don't see any questions coming through, and I believe we could conclude this keynote and then start on with the panel discussion.
Sure, great. Thank you, everybody. Great. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for that insightful session. So if I could request the other speakers, Mr. Sandeep Bhatia, Mr. Amitabh Khanna, Mr. Gagan Singla, and Mr. Navneet M and Saurabh Sinha to join us on the backstage, we could start the panel discussion. Thank you so much. For Mr. Rao to join, I would request Mr. Amitabh Khanna to share some insights on your COVID experience and what plans MasterCard has to in coming months to beat the COVID downtime.
The COVID experience is not very different than what all of you would have experienced as well. Though I feel it gave all of us a great opportunity in terms of not only executing things which we've been planning for a while. So I'm just referring to digitization. Not only there, I think a lot of things which were talked about earlier in terms of bringing the physical and the digital world together and ensuring that the customer experience is intact, it doesn't change. I think all that kind of gave us an opportunity to to experience it, to execute it, and see the advantage and disadvantage of it. So the other big thing which I would say is I would say a huge learning, at least I would say, which all of us have got, is we have actually started trusting and building partnership a lot. The whole experience in terms of not being physically in touch with people, the virtual connections probably has built a lot of trust, a lot of confidence in the people among each other itself. So I think that's something to me is a very, very different feeling, a different I would say experience which I would have gained. Tirupati did mention about sales guys looking in terms of having a daily conversation with their.
Nitin, I am here. Sorry, Amitabh, Gagan, Saurabh, some technical issues. Justin, I am back.
No problems, Mr. Rao. Thank you for joining the bridge. Since there's a technical issue, I actually requested Mr. Amitabh Khanna to actually open up the talk with an overview of how MasterCard, what plans MasterCard has to overcome the challenge. So if I would request Amitabh Khanna to probably run through the rest of the 10 slide and check Mr. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, sorry, Amitabh. So, Amitabh, the first question after I presented what strategies and what other global organizations are doing, the first question that I would like to understand is what things have changed from pre-COVID to COVID era in customer experience, and how BFSI organizations are coping across its organization, across the organization. So right. I would like to understand your views on that. A quick view in terms of how MasterCard is actually doing it, how it is adapting to these changes, and what are the things that you would want the audience to know about about MasterCard.
Sure, I think I'm pretty comfortable in terms of talking about how MasterCard had kind of managed this last couple of months, which has got impacted by COVID. I mean, we've been a global organization, work from home for not something which is new to us. All of us had flexibility in working from home, but having that experience with the customers as well, and we are not able to kind of physically meet them, and all our conversations are happening virtually. Definitely wanted us to change the way we were functioning earlier. I would say, I mean, we wanted to be with the customers all this while. We wanted to ensure the shock and the I would say the off-guard position which some of the customers have gotten to because of COVID. We give them some space to kind of come out of that shock and look forward how they can build the stability in the system, so to say. So I think the whole idea was to ensure that we help customers to bounce back and come back to at least closer to what they were earlier. And that's what the strategy was. How do we work with them in terms of helping them to bounce back and come back to the position where they were a couple of months back. So I think that's what I'm going to talk about it and what we did in terms of to bounce back.
Sure, Amitabh, thanks for those insights. Gagan, it would be great if you can provide your insights into this. We'll come back to Gagan. Saurabh, could you provide your insights on this?
Sure, Tirupati. So what we saw happening just when COVID hit and the lockdowns really started around mid-March was that the world of lending really overnight slowed down by 93.5%. That's the kind of slowdown that we've not even seen way back in 2008, right? Everybody really stopped lending overnight. Though during these times, I would differentiate their reasons to stop or slow down in two buckets, right? One kind of lender was not just geared up for it, right? They were so dependent on feet-of-street models, offline models, that they were just not capacitized. They did not even have business continuity planning to be able to cope with the situation. So they've taken a good 60 days or so to get geared up. But there was the other bucket, right, which was technology ready, right? And we're talking about fintech lenders who were always very technology savvy. They were acquiring customers online, really doing automated underwriting and automated collections. But even that set really got disrupted badly. And that's got very little to do with the lockdown. It had more to do with the moratorium itself, right? Where their cash flows really got disrupted because collections dropped, right? So they really slowed down as well, and they remain a little bit impacted. But having said that, I think, while that's been the impact of COVID, and slowly as Moratorium 2.0 winds to a close by the end of this month, and I expect lending to really bounce back, what's really happened, and this has happened behind the scenes, is that digitization itself and adoption of digital technologies when it comes to BFSI has been accelerated by, I think, not less than 36 months, right? That's the kind of adoption rate that I've seen. The world is very clearly digital. Anybody who thought that walk-in models, branch-led models are still the winner in today's world has realized that hypothesis was wrong, right? So the world is clearly going to be much more digital. In fact, I think large lenders, especially private banks, are sitting on all-time high deposits. So come the next 90 days or so, what we're going to see is a huge deployment of that deposit base, and lending should come back very sharply. So that's the outlook for the future that I have, and the world looks much more digital. I think COVID very soon will start looking like an opportunity. While it's taken a huge toll on businesses as well as on lives, I think we look back at COVID and the positives that it's going to leave us with. So that's what I think COVID has done. Tirupati, you're on mute. You just need to unmute yourself.
Sorry. So Saurabh, what I was actually saying was you gave a great insight. Actually, that is what I'm hearing with a lot of organizations in India, that COVID has created new business opportunities which they were not even that they could not uncover running through their daily routines. But this has given them to stop and listen and come out with new avenues to drive business. Sandeep, it would be great if you can provide your insights onto this.
Thanks, Tirupati, and I think great, insightful sort of overview from SAP. I think the CX and the EX was specifically worth mentioning. I think when we look at the Capgemini Research Institute and we went through the full research on the spectrum, we found that each of the banking industry will need to go through a transformational change. I think if you even look at insurance, it's very employee-centric development, very face-to-face selling model. How you change it in the new normal will be critical. We also see that the remote work may increase some cost of setup, and which we will have to see how we offset. We also see the fee incomes and the credit losses slightly go up. And there is a new RegTech and FinTech requirements coming across KYC, AML, reg reporting, just to manage the credit risk which is coming through. But like everyone has said, we see it as a big opportunity for turbo starting the digital journey with a lot of adoption to blockchain, AI-based ecosystem, 360-degree KYC analytics. I've also seen in Europe biometrics startup in some areas. Clearly, a lot of good focus on the digital opportunity coming up.
Sure, Sandeep. Definitely, this actually reminds me of a customer when they had just entered into the lockdown. They were trying to cobbling with saying that, okay, most of my millennial populations are who actually bank with us. So how can I make them more of because they these millennials were basically were confident like to go to a branch and get their activities done. So then it become a challenge for them is how can they educate that kind of millennial population and across their different segments of their customers. How can they come up with different mediums in terms of how they need to serve? Definitely, yes. Like Sandeep, you just brought about the different other peers in the industry, what they are doing. That actually provides an insightful insight into that. Gagan, it would be great if you can provide your thoughts and your views on this. I feel we have some challenges hearing from Gagan. Let's move on to the next question that I have for the panelists today is what is the shift that you have actually seen from a sales organization perspective? Like earlier, because as we know, sales has more been of kind of a physical activity and multiply like meeting customers multiple times when we are selling a policy or we're selling a bank product or a deposit or a loan. What do you see how organizations have helped sales team to adapt with this new norm of virtual selling? Amitabh, your views on that first, then I come to Saurabh and Sandeep later.
Sure. So if you look at, the sales organization or the sales teams, the whole phenomena in terms of getting into homes and not going out to offices and not meeting customers brought a great amount of shock. I think the entire sales units in the organization were shocked. They were taken off guard in terms of, what's the next step? How do we look forward to kind of, go back to customers and look forward to build pipelines or get to sales out to them. One of the biggest change which I saw, or rather I would say the reasons why I would say which we saw happening around that time was to reboot the entire sales organization, looking in terms of how they were working together earlier and what changes can they do now. The biggest change which I saw happening across was there was a big mix of virtual and physical world, so which started happening. And I'm just going back to this point which I talked about earlier. So the sales numbers, the sales efforts continue to be same. It's just that instead of having the customer physically present with you, you went on in terms of having video conversations with customers, involving a lot of, I would say, videos and a lot of content which is available on web, which they can utilize at their ease and they can utilize for their benefit. The whole idea which the sales organization were running at that point of time was to ensure that they listen to customers. I think that was something which was very, very important. Just keep listening to them, understanding what the needs are, and continue to be empathetic. They are also probably in the similar situation in terms of being at home, not being able to go to offices, taking a hit on their revenue and sales numbers. So the most important thing at that point in time was to listen to customer, continue to understand the needs, and then look into how you can provide the relevant information to them. I think that's something was something which is very important. There was a lot of anxiety which was all around. People were not knowing what is happening across, what's going to be happening next, what's happening in the developed world, so to say. So this anxiety in terms of what is happening around was something which we saw everywhere happening. And I would say a lot of sales organizations took a lot of efforts in terms of ensuring that they make their customer aware, educated in terms of what's happening across, what new strategy, what new ways they can adopt, continue to have their own product and services being acceptable in the market. And that's, I think played a very important role. This partnership which got developed, I would say, in the last couple of months, to me would be a long-term partnership, which we would see in years to come or days to come. It did not have, I would say, short-term goals as usually a sales organization do have. And I think that something is one of the biggest achievement in this period. And as Saurabh was mentioning, probably we will look at it as an opportunity. To me, I think most of us today are actually feeling that COVID is an opportunity, and it's helping us in terms of moving the digital agenda much more faster than what it would have happened otherwise.
So Gagan, Amitabh, that brings me to a very important question. So have you seen the sales cycles being elongated, or it has reduced? What is it that you are actually seeing?
So if I just look at it's a mix of change which I'm seeing right now, if you ask me. Something to do with information security and I would say, or in terms of bringing the system stability, I think, and enriching customer experience. I think those are three things which are primary focus right now, and I will probably go in that order. I think the first and foremost thing which we're seeing right now is, especially from a BFSI perspective, the overall security in the system is something which people are looking forward to build much more than what's been in the past. As COVID has provided some opportunity to us, it has also provided, I would say, the opportunity to fraudsters to utilize the system, which is I would say, slightly vulnerable now, to exploit and take advantage of it. So I think the first most important thing that customers are facing right now or looking forward to solve is to bring the system, I would say, more secure, build a security around it. And second is to get stability, so that in the absence of human resources or in the absence of things not happening as per what it used to happen, the system continues to be the way it is. And the third one, obviously, is enhancing customer experience. Those three things, I think, are very widely accepted in the market. I would say the overall sales cycle has reduced. Value-added services is where I would say it is slightly elongated, which is very well understood. I think it's important now for understand which product is what we need to bring out in the market, product or service which we need to bring out in the market, which has relevance to the customer. And that's what I was saying earlier. That listening to customer is something which is very, very important, right?
Sure, Amitabh, I agree to you. This reminds me about a conversation that I was having with an insurance organization, wherein somewhere in the month of April, what they actually found after talking to their customers or their prospective customers, they need to simplify the conditions that they usually have in the insurance policy, right? Because that was going on for donkey years.
Right.
But now they have realized it has to make it more simplified for the customers to actually understand in terms of what that actually means. Typically, nobody in earlier days, nobody was just looking at it, then they had to just sign that document and that's it. But now things have changed where customers are more cautious and looking at each and every conditions that are there in those agreements. And that's how the insurance organization realized there need to be simplification so that customers understand in a more layman perspective rather than from a legal or legal perspective.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thanks, Amitabh, for your views. Saurabh, would like to understand your views in terms of how do you see a sales organization are moving up the curve from physical to virtual selling?
Sure. So when COVID hit, right, I don't think we, side of just the initial fear psychosis, had too many challenges transitioning to this new mode of working. However, having said that, I'll echo a lot of things that Amitabh mentioned, right? A lot of deep engagements, insight-led engagements really helped. We personally at TransUnion are a B2B company, right? So what we did was we took on a target to start engaging with at least 150 CXOs within the first month itself, right? In 30 days, we got that done, right? The other plan that we put into action was all the insights and the research that we had been working on. We immediately decided to put it out in the external domain and help our clients with that knowledge, right? Because withholding knowledge when there is this fear psychosis wasn't really helping. So we did a bunch of webinars to the extent that, every organization started doing webinars and there was a lot of overload of webinars. But having said that, initially it really did help. Having that first mover advantage really made our clients trust us. In fact, the feedback from my sales team is that sort of in these 90 days, we've never engaged so deeply with clients, right? And that's built a new kind of trust that I think will sustain just beyond COVID as well. Staying with your clients during these times is extremely important. In fact, to support our clients, we also pre-selected the kind of solutions and services that they may need. And we put them on very attractive pricing, right? And did multiple pilots as well. So that built a lot of trust, right? But that's the B2B side, right? Your other question is on the B2C side, right? On the B2C side, of course, there was a lot of disruption for businesses that had a lot of dependence on feet on street models, which had a lot of offline dependence, right? I think, like I said, the world is going to be a lot more digital. And while I say that, it will be a lot more discerning and selective as well. So to sell to the customer of today or the customer of tomorrow, what you really need to do is understand the right signals that they are putting out, maybe in the online world. Put that in its alternative data, it is past behaviors you've seen with those customers, marry all of that, pick the right signals, and then have a contextual target. That is the only way to sell in the future. Otherwise, clients will not trust you if you keep bombarding them. So that age has already set upon us. The age of data is the new oil is very much here and now. And it's for businesses to understand that and start engaging with their clients using data and intelligence to give them contextual and useful offers which are tailor-made for them, which are customized at a customer level, right? And technology. So that's what I think is happening.
Sort of 100% agree with you. Definitely, that is what I am also hearing from other customers that I have been talking to, engaging with across banks and insurance and fintech organizations as well. But the different webinars, that's a very interesting topic today. A lot of webinars are being done right, left, and center. But how do you see that contributing towards the actual conversions? So what has been the conversion ratios that you have actually seen during this crisis?
I think that's a great question. Look, conversion rates as well as the sales cycle have been impacted. And that's got to do not only with COVID and the fear for psychosis, it's also with the loss of confidence overall in the economy and what's really going to happen in the future. But having said that, I feel that I'll echo what Amitabh mentioned. There are product lines that are doing very well, right? And then there are product lines which are good to have, which have been put out by 6 to 8 months as buying decisions, right? So all I'll say is we as TransUnion are a leading technology company. We offer digitization and technology. And if you're offering that and you're playing in that domain, there will always be businesses who want that for their customers, right? Digital onboarding, targeted selling is here to stay, right? So that's why I'll just say that while there is a minor impact, I think all of that will kind of taper down, it will short down, and we'll be back to BAU very soon.
Sure, Saurabh. Thanks very much for that insight. Sandeep, it would be great if you can provide your insights into the same.
So I think what I see, Tirupati, is something similar to what Amitabh and Saurabh was saying. I think first we need to understand what the customer is really wanting. He's wanting a choice on how and where the banking will happen. He's also saying that I'm trusting you with my data. How can you make sure that you take that and know me, create a profile, and come up with like custom solutions for me? They're all looking to have immediate approval and access to funds, be it loans or credit cards. So what it is doing is, and I think Milind also mentioned it earlier, is data everywhere. So all ROI on the moments of truth from a sales perspective is being measured. We are also trying to see that how the conversion is happening. Saurabh mentioned about trust. I also see trust happening all across. So customers are asking, what are you doing to justify the trust I've placed on you? What are you going to create new pockets of trust with me, with the new product lines which you're trying to launch? I think that's a very key thing, because trust can't be taken for granted, and there's a renewed focus on that. And the third thing is simply speed. How do you try to get to information? There was a case which was mentioned, you mentioned about insurance call, calling at a night for a particular case. We also see that trend come up, I want it now, what is the speed? And that will lead to a big digital transformation on how soon we can access the data, turn it around and create a profile from a risk perspective and through the banking profile perspective. So I think those are the three key. How do you have speed? How do you leverage the data? And how do you continue to access the trust?
Thanks, Sandeep, for your views. Definitely, that resonates with what the other panelists also think about. Experiences becoming the major aspect of all the interactions that are actually happening. The next question, Amita, for you is, as we are transitioning, as you see, we would be transitioning from the COVID world to the post-COVID world towards the end of this year. What should be the priority for BFSI organization? How they need to look at it, and whatever investments and whatever benefits that or the engagements that they have with customers, how they can take that relationships when they go into 2021?
I think it's a very, very important question, Tirupati. I think customers today, or I would say the organizations today, needs to imagine or reimagine the world post-COVID. They need to look in terms of what changes have happened, or in terms of both in terms of habitual as well as otherwise, which would be required us to take us ahead after the COVID era is over, so to say. If I look at, the human connection or trust, which I talked about earlier, and I heard both Saurabh and Sandeep talking about it, I think that's something which will play a very, very important role in the post-COVID era as well. From a sales strategy perspective or customers experience strategy perspective, one thing which we need to continue, that the focus continues to be that the customer experience, even in the physical world, is I would say no touch experience. So the use of paper in terms of various activities which we do today, it's going to go away for sure, or it has to be planned in terms of going away. We still need to look about the convenience of the flexibility today, where we're giving to our customers today. So they can be at their home, they can be at any time, in terms of looking forward to open an account or start a relationship with any of the I would say organization. I think that flexibility customers or the end consumers will definitely look forward to have. I would say even in the B2B world, this flexibility probably would be required even after we see the COVID getting over. And the primary reason behind is that in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months, all of us would have experienced, most of the organizations actually are trying to be, giving a lot of emphasis on having a pretty good work and work-life balance in a way. So the free time which people had, personally for me, I used to spend almost like I would say 4 days in a week traveling, 2 hours in a day traveling. So that the additional time which I have now, I'm utilizing it, building new skills, or maybe pursuing some of the hobbies which I left some time back. I don't want to give that away, and I'm sure most of us, if we have gone back to those hobbies or those skills which we are acquiring now, we don't want to give that away. We want to ensure that we continue with that. So my personal time is my personal time, and I think that's something we as Indians we never had, but I think with the global influence and with the additional time which we got in the last 4 months, I think that's something would force all of us in terms of looking at providing a customer experience with flexibility. I think the other third main thing which I look at is the digital experience which we are providing to customers. I think most of the customers, I would say, would get used to it. They are already used to it in a great extent. I think they will get further used to it. I think the requirement would be that how do we ensure there is much bigger and larger human connect in the digital experience which we are trying to provide to the customer, so that the bridging between the two eras can happen very easily. If you ask me, the whole emphasis now would be that the bridging the gap between the physical and digital world is what something which should be the focus on. And I just want to quote an example. When the lockdown happened, all the sports activity was shut down, Olympics were closed, and a lot of other things were happening. The first thing which started happening was a football tournament, and as the sport authority, in terms of figuring out that there's the sporting event is going to happen. However, we cannot allow the spectators to be there in the stadiums. That will be a huge impact on the customers viewing this, because a stadium without spectators is something you do not, kind of imagine in a way. So the use of, I would say, animation in terms of having spectators in the physical world while the competition is happening or the match is happening, I think that was a pretty unique experience in terms of merging the physical and digital world, which is from a different field altogether. But I think it provided that an excitement and enthusiasm to the spectators who was viewing it online, that there is something which is happening which is close to what I used to watch earlier. Maybe I'm not there physically, but I see players playing on the ground at least, and I see some activity happening on the spectator side as well. So I think we have to really, really think out of the box, innovate much more, and see how do we bridge the gap. I would say between physical and digital, and make it more phygital is what the new terminology is, so to say.
Good to know from you. Saurabh, would you like to give your insights into this?
Yeah, sure. So like Amitabh mentioned, right, work from home and this time to yourself that you have now is truly treasured. The other thing I feel that has happened for India is work from home was considered an abused term in India, right? Just now that everybody across the board is doing it day in, day out, I think the trust that in work from home you can actually work, and for everybody who thought, work from home is a way to just kind of have an easy day, but they also realize they can truly be productive. I think I have a very bright outlook for how work from home can really scale when the situation returns to normal as well. Like Amitabh mentioned, there are organizations which are already rolling out policies which continue well into 2025, where a part of their workforce needs to probably not come in at all, or will come in for just a couple of days, right? So work from here is to stay. On a very light note, though, Amitabh, while you have the extra hours saved from the commute, what ends up happening, this is how I joke, my boss has 1 or 2 hours extra as well to delegate a few more hours of work for me. So you got to all think about that as well. But coming to the point on customer experience and convenience, I think it's a game changer, right? It's a complete game changer. And why I say that is because the proof was there even before COVID, right? So I'll give you an example of what fintech lenders did in unsecured personal loans lending, right? So in the last 24 months, there's a completely new category of personal loans that's actually evolved, and nobody really knows about it, right? This category is called the small ticket personal loan segment, which is under 25,000 rupee lending, right? And you will not imagine this, that segment has grown 52x in just 24 months. It's a whole niche that has been carved out just in 24 months. In fact, fintech lending has taken in personal loans a market share which started at 2% 2 years back, which now today, just pre-COVID, stood at 30%, right? That's the kind of disruption that you can cause when you focus on customer experience and convenience. And what was amazing is during this time also, the culture around credit was changing in the country, right? So we spoke earlier about millennials. I think millennials are a thing of the past. I'm a millennial, right? So I'm turning 40. So millennials is done and dusted. The largest demographic segment that will exist is the Gen Z segment. We're talking in 3 to 4 years time, a 360 million base. That's the segment everybody has to think about. Sure, they're not earning a lot, but they're the future, and we need to start designing products for them, right? They do not want to have high touch models. They want to be onboarded almost seamlessly. They want to just tap and interact with digital technologies and mobile apps. They don't really need a person. If you put out the right content, they have the ability to absorb it and be able to interact with an app, right? So that is the real proof of what customer experience and convenience can really do for you. It's proof which existed pre-COVID. It's just now post-COVID. Once the economy can sustain it, businesses can sustain it, to push it further, adoption rates will be through the roof, right? That's a given, right? I'm telling you that my estimate is the adoption rate of customers for digital technologies that would have existed in 2024 in the normal course is here now in 2020. So that's the opportunity that we're talking about.
Sure, Saurabh, great for your insight. Sandeep, your views on this?
So I think I'll just echo what Saurabh and Amitabh were saying, but I think the way I see it is that there is a turbo start of the digital side, and we will continue to leverage that post-COVID as well. We moved from digital payments. There's a shift from cash to digital payment, which I think is the trend which started with demonetization, but I think it just now got turbocharged. What will happen to it is it will lead into like integration of cards with payment gateways, mobile apps, new digital offerings will start coming up. New old customers who have anxiety of technology adoption will have to be handheld through this journey of adoption to digital payment perspective. Digital channel adoption will increase, which I think is what I heard both of them say as well. Investment preference. People are now looking at much more safer. I've seen fixed deposit increase, large cash lying with people from a banking perspective. So how do you leverage that decision on a safer investment is something post-COVID organizations will have to think through. I think customer loyalty. Milind mentioned it earlier that at least sort of 36% of people have tried a new alternative banking channel during the COVID lockdown. So what we will have to do is to make sure that we work on customer loyalty in a big way. So that would be a key challenge for all the BFSI organizations post-COVID.
Sure, great. Thanks very much for that insight. So we will open for any questions that people may have now for the panelists.
Thank you for the insightful session. Yes, there was one question by Tandy. So the question was, during COVID, have the customers gone more demanding, or they shed normal expectations from customer experience perspective? Any insights or any examples?
Maybe I can take a stab at it, Justin. So in my view, I don't think so. Customers have become, or rather, I've seen that the customers were over demanding. What I would say is there was definitely some impact on the patience level for sure. So and primarily because the time was something which was everybody was not very conscious about earlier. Maybe now since they were working together between the person and the office space at the same time, people were looking forward to have answers much quickly. But again, a logical kind of conversation with customers really helped. And again, as I've been talking about this for a while, I mean, I'm going to go back to the same thing once again. Listening is, to me, was very important, and that played a very important role in terms of understanding what the actual requirements are. But because more often than not, I mean, in the haste of getting the things done, the requirements are not very clearly understood. And listening helped in terms of understanding what the requirements were, and then going back with a logical conversation. I think those two things played a very important role.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. Right, I don't see any more questions coming through, and I believe we could conclude the panel discussion.
Thanks, Justin. So I feel we got a better perspective in terms of what are the strategies that organization needs to adopt, not only in the COVID, but the post-COVID world, where clearly what actually came out was customer experience, differential customer experiences that is going to stand out for customers and the engagements that they are currently having, and they need to take this engagement back with them when they enter the post-COVID world, and just not keep it as just a milestone. I feel that's actually came out from the panel discussion today.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rao, and the other panelist members. Yes, sir, please go ahead. Right. So I don't see any questions coming through, and like you said, I think we could conclude. So with that, we're coming to the end of the event. Attendees, please reach out to us in case you have any questions post-event. Also, the networking session, the tables will be open. Our partners will be more than happy to talk to you and answer your questions. Please use the networking session. Right. So I would like to thank our panelist members and our keynote speakers for joining us today and delivering their exceptional sharing their thoughts and ideas with us. And one last time, I'd like to apologize to you for the delay. I mean, we almost 4 minutes delay, and you pretty sorry for that issue. So yeah, thank you so much on behalf of the entire CXM team and our partners in SAP, Accurate Consulting, and Cape Germany. I would like to thank you all for joining today's session. I would like to thank you for having you on board in one of our upcoming CXM events. Thank you so much, and stay well. And thank you.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.